It's been nearly 1.5 months since Gekko was released, yet most people don't know how to use him properly. Across the pro teams in VCT, we've seen very few teams pick him up, and even lesser teams succeed with him. However, there is one VCT EMEA team that's figured out how to make him consistently work on one map if they follow one particular playstyle. Navi have carved out a niche for Gekko on Pearl. His stats show that he isn't successful on most maps, but on Pearl, his success rate is an astonishing 50%. Gekko's main strength is that he can reclaim his abilities and get access to a lot more utility than any other agent. While your opponent will run out of their utility soon enough, Gekko can continue using his attack helicopter flash several times in the round. The best way to use him is to toss Dizzy above the walls, let it shoot blue goo over the opponents, and then reclaim it in a safe spot while your team takes map control one piece at a time. While there are several spots on many other maps that let you do this, since most of the walls on Pearl are short and scalable, it can be used in a lot of locations. Wingman can be slightly riskier to reclaim, but it's still great if you play slowly and stick with your team. This round from Navi is Gekko at his peak strength. Let's see how they use it. On B, they use the 0 point to check if anyone's playing backside in halls. Dizzy clears out Fridge, and the Jet dashes into her cloudburst to escort the Wingman to plant near the orange box. And most of the times, the Jet dashing in is enough to protect the Wingman, but this time even Angel swings out. A gravity well and smoke is put on the B link to make sure that nobody can kill the Wingman. And even though Angel dies protecting his little bro, the spike plant goes through. Regardless of whether Heretics have weapons or not, this was a solid push by Navi.
In round 5 of Navi vs Heretics, Navi have a default spread out. Jet and KO are trying to peek outside of B. The Killjoy is holding mid. Meanwhile, Angel, as the IGL, uses the Dizzy over the A main walls to make sure that nobody from Heretics can push out. Even though Heretics use this cascade to slow down Navi, because they don't follow it up with aggression, Navi gets this part of the map very easily.
Angel also uses Gekko's ultimate to re-clear the area, but instead of sending it deep inside, he steers it back to safety as soon as it's about to run out. While he recovers trash, he uses the Wingman for temporary cover and then soon recovers that too with Astra's backup. Now that they've got quite a lot of map control on A main, they use this area to get into positions from where they can set up their site execute. And this is one of the best executes you'll see.
CNET dashes inside, and even though he dies, take a look at what happens. Bro, good luck trying to defend the site like this. The floor is literally lava. There's nowhere left to defend from. You've got the KO's fragment, you've got the Killjoy nanoswarm, the mosh pit, and in case someone tries to escape, they've got the Astra suck. And if that's not enough, they use the trash again, a second time to detain Zeke. Mixwell is forced to fight in the open, and even Kellogg's come back to peek. Even though Kellogg's escaped that initial dump of utility, he comes back in to save Zeke, but he too gets decimated. And just like that, the site is purged. That's an easy plant and an easy round win. This is peak performance from Gekko. Gekko requires a very slow and steady playstyle, and that just happens to be Navi's natural playstyle, so he suits them really well. He lets them creep into positions from where they can set up their executes and plant without losing members. Except, maybe the Jet. However, once the spike is planted, Gekko doesn't really add much in terms of defending the spike. At best, he can use his mosh pit to buy time, if he has it. He mostly won't. He's just a guy with a gun at that point.
Apart from this particular approach, he doesn't offer much value if you deviate from this playstyle. When Navi's forced to make adjustments in the mid-round, they find success because of their players' own gunplay and game sense, not because of Gekko's kit. Even on the defensive side, Gekko isn't the person that Navi are afraid of. Navi was making plays and triggering fights on the back of Zipan's flashes. Take this round for an example, round 15. It's a stylish round where Angel gets an ace. And even though the Dizzy is used, Zipan also throws his own flash. This makes KO the primary initiator. This is proof that Gekko is great for set-piece executes, but flexibility isn't his strong suit. His best friends are agents like KO and Sky, who have great flashes and the ability to gather information, something that Gekko isn't really perfect for. His worst enemies can be agents that can deny the Wingman plant or defuse, for example Killjoy, or any controller if they play aggressively enough to take away map control from Gekko's team. Gekko can easily replace the Fade, because Fade only gets true prowlers, while Gekko can use way more creatures than that to clear space. Yes, the Fade is flexible enough because she can gather information with the Haunt scan.
Whereas Gekko follows the philosophy of Why do you want information when you can basically guarantee that your enemies won't be able to contest the area that you want for yourself?
Gekko's ultimate also feels stronger because the threat of getting detained is far more than the threat of getting deafened and temporarily losing some of your HP, so it seems a lot more intimidating. At least when you are hit by a nightfall, you can at least fight back. That's why Gekko needs an initiator friend like the Sky or KO to gather information that he can't. So how do you counter Gekko? You do it by denying his team map control and not giving them the space to set up. Let's take round 8 for an example. Angel uses his Dizzy over on A main, but it's denied entry because of Viper's Spit. He's fortunate enough to recover the Dizzy and an ultimate orb, but he can't do anything else. Meanwhile, Mixwell has pushed up B ramp. So now Navi have neither A main nor B main control. They split into mid, some going towards double doors while the others going towards art. As soon as Mixwell kills the Astra, Navi don't have smokes, so they can't execute or cut sight. Navi trade Mixwell out, but this is already looking bleak because Navi can't execute without A or B main control, and even Evova's flanking, so they have to play for picks, which they can't against Kellogg's op. Navi don't have time to pass the spike over to Wingman. KO plants it himself, and Wingman is used to cover him from CT. He gets slightly unlucky because the lockdown is activated just milliseconds later. If he probably waited a moment, maybe he could have denied the lockdown with his mosh pit. They get the plant and then try to escape the lockdown, but they are sprayed down by Avova from behind. This way, by pushing out and denying map control, Heretics don't let Navi get the space they need. While these agents that can deny map control certainly pose a threat to Gekko, his biggest enemy is still himself. Imagine what would happen if the Wingman drops the spike in a very awkward spot. Saving Private Wingman from behind enemy lines is mission impossible.
And that's all the Hollywood references I'm using in this video.
Let's take another game as an example. Navi versus Giants, where both the teams have a Gekko, but Giants don't have a Killjoy, and this makes life so much easier for Navi. In round 7, Giants are trying an A execute. While Navi give them the control that they want on A main, Giants have lost their Astra, so they lose a significant chunk of their execute power. The mosh pit and fragment go flying in, but it doesn't cover as much ground as Navi's execute does, and CNET can continue sticking around here, slightly avoiding the damage, and he continues to snipe away. Even after CNET is dealt with, look what happens when the Wingman tries to plant. The fragment molly kills this cutie before the spike is even planted. However, look at where the spike is. It's back here, even though it was being planted over there, where the Wingman the dead globule is. So I guess the spike got there because of some bug. Even if it did not glitch out and the spike was right where it was being planted, it would still be difficult to recover it.
So now that you know what his strengths and weaknesses are, the conclusion is, to win with Gekko, you need to stick to this niche playstyle. So should you pick him in your ranked games? Well, that depends on how much you want to adhere to this particular playstyle and how much you enjoy playing him.
And how cute you think his pets are.
Oh yeah, that too.